Billionaire exposes incredible truth after witnessing heartwarming tale of triplets facing life. In the heart of Willow Creek, the sun shone bright over the town square, where hope was rising like the steam from the fresh pies cooling on the tables. It was here that Sarah stood, her smile radiant against the backdrop of economic despair. A humble single mother, she was raising triplet daughters, Emma, Mia, and Zoe, each one a fiery spirit bursting with dreams of becoming doctors. Yet, the recent factory closure had cast a dark cloud over their small town, driving anxiety deep into the seams of their community. As neighbors gathered for a bake sale, the aroma of warm cookies mingled with the sounds of laughter and chatter. But lurking within this tight-knit community was the sting of judgment, whispers of disdain for those who had fallen on hard times. Sarah pushed through the worry, her heart swelling with pride as she served slices of apple pie, each piece a testament to her determination. Meanwhile, Nathan Parker, a high-powered tech mogul from Silicon Valley, found himself in this quaint town, begrudgingly attending a business meeting. The contrast between his world of big transactions and Willow Creek's simplicity ripped at his mind. As he strolled through the bustling square, something caught his eye. A kindergartner handed a steaming pie to another mother, followed by laughter ringing like church bells. It pulled at a place he didn't know was there. His gaze fell on Sarah, her hands moving deftly as she connected with people, lighting up the square with her kindness. For the first time, he felt uncomfortable in his designer suit, an outsider in a world where love and resilience spoke louder than dollar signs. He approached the table, drawn by the warmth emanating from her smile. Then came the triplets, bounding towards him with stars in their eyes, each boasting about their dreams, each voice a note in a harmony that pulled at Nathan's heartstrings, but everything changed when he witnessed an incident that turned his stomach. A neighbor sneered, words dripping with that old-world prejudice that made Sarah's cheeks burn. Despite the community rallying to support one another, there were glaring unkindnesses. Nathan saw the hurt in Sarah's eyes, a stunning contrast to her usual light, and it sparked something deep inside him that had long been buried under layers of corporate ambition. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Nathan resolved to make a stand. Drawing from both his privilege and his growing affection for this community, he envisioned an event that would shine a spotlight on these remarkable families and their unwavering spirit. As whispers of doubt began to surface, Nathan felt the weight of his mission press down. Would Sarah accept his help? Or would pride and fear for her daughter's dignity hold her back? With the event hanging by a thread and the community's spirit wavering, a question loomed: could he bridge the gap between worlds? The day after the bake sale, a new energy crackled in the air around Willow Creek. The rising sun illuminated the homes, casting a golden light that revealed not only the beauty of the town but also the burdens each family carried. Sarah stood at her kitchen window, staring out at the street, her heart heavy with the doubt Nathan's earlier kindness had stirred. Could she really accept help, especially from someone like him? Her daughters dashed around the house, chatter filling the space with laughter. Emma, with her wild curls and bright ideas, suggested they go door to door, helping the neighbors with errands. It'll be like our own little bake sale, but with kindness, she exclaimed, clapping her hands with excitement. Mia and Zoe immediately joined in, their energy contagious. Sarah admired their enthusiasm. They wore hope like a second skin, untainted by the judgments of others. But as she watched them, a nagging anxiety clawed at her insides. Would she need to tell them that sometimes kindness didn't come easily? Meanwhile, Nathan was gearing up for a meeting with the town leaders. He wanted to present his idea for a festival that celebrated community spirit, a way to not only raise funds but also showcase the talents of families like Sarah's. And above all, he wanted to reach out to Sarah herself, hoping she would help him shape the event. The thought of the festival surged through him, intertwining with the images of the triplets sharing their dreams, their laughter filling the air. It felt right, but he knew he had to tread carefully. He wasn't familiar with the nuances of this community. What if they saw him as an outsider, just another billionaire trying to swoop in and play savior? Gathering his courage, he decided to visit Sarah. As he approached her house, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He took a deep breath, knocked on the door, and waited. Sarah opened the door, surprise flickering across her face. "Nathan, what brings you here?" A part of her was wary, questioning his motives. Hadn't she witnessed enough of rich men tossing cash at problems without care? "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice steady but warm. He stepped inside as she hesitated, allowing him into her world, just for a moment. He laid out his vision, vibrant and full of potential. "I want to create a festival, a way for our townspeople to come together and support one another. The proceeds could help families struggling like yours." Sarah listened, her heart racing. The idea was generous, but doubt crept in. It could backfire. What if people don't want to be helped by someone like you? What if they see it as a handout? Nathan felt his chest tighten. "I understand. I truly do." His eyes softened. "What if we created this together? Make it something the community can be proud of, something real." There was sincerity in his voice, a gentleness she hadn't expected. But could she trust him? Before she could respond, Mia burst into the room, her little hands clutching a crumpled piece of paper. "Mom! Can we help organize the festival? We can make signs and bake for it." Illuminated by their eagerness, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. But could one festival really mend the tear in their community's spirit? Just then, a knock echoed from the front door again. This time, it was their neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, a woman who had never quite accepted Sarah's family. Nathan and Sarah exchanged glances, tension thickening the air. Was Willow Creek ready for change? With two worlds colliding at her doorstep, Sarah's heart raced. What would Mrs. Patterson say? And could Nathan's dreams withstand the scrutiny? The moment of truth was approaching, and uncertainty loomed like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. The door swung open slowly, revealing Mrs. Patterson with her arms crossed. She was an imposing figure, her expression a mixture of curiosity and disapproval. Her weathered face softened for just a moment, but the creases in her brow quickly returned. "What's all this chatter about a festival?" she asked, her voice sharp. Nathan stepped forward, ready to engage. "Mrs. Patterson, we're discussing a community festival. It could really benefit." "I've heard of these grand plans before," she interrupted, schooling her features. "People parade around thinking they can fix everything with a little fun and games. But that's not how life works." Sarah felt a rush of heat rise to her cheeks. The weight of her neighbor's judgment was palpable. "We're just trying to find a way to bring the community together, to help families who are struggling," she offered, her voice trembling slightly. She could feel her daughter's eyes on her, searching for reassurance. Mia tugged at Sarah's shirt, her big, innocent eyes fixed on Mrs. Patterson. "We want to spread kindness, not just have fun," she added, her small voice firm. The simplicity of her words caught both adults off guard. Mrs. Patterson's expression softened, just for a moment, as she glanced at the triplets. But then the mask of skepticism fell back into place. "We're fine without help, thank you very much. Willow Creek has always looked after its own." "Not everyone can manage alone," Nathan said gently, willing to push back. "There's no shame in asking for help, and the festival is about unity, not charity." Sarah felt the air thicken as Mrs. Patterson surveyed Nathan, her gaze piercing. "And I suppose someone like you knows what it means to be in need?" A tense silence followed as Nathan opened his mouth to respond, but Sarah raised a hand. "Let us not do this here. This is a conversation for another time." Mrs. Patterson scrutinized Sarah for a moment longer before relenting. Fine. But I believe people should take responsibility, not lean on others for handouts. With that, she turned sharply and walked back to her house, leaving behind a swirling mix of tension and disappointment. Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "I'm sorry. That was intense," she said, shaking her head. "No, it's fine. She cares, in her own way," Nathan replied, though the apprehension lingered in his tone. Emma bounced on her feet, her optimism spilling forth. "Mom, what if we asked more neighbors to help us with the festival? They might like the idea if they got involved." Sarah looked at her daughters, their enthusiasm seeming to illuminate the heavy conversation. "That's a great idea, baby." As the girls started brainstorming who could contribute, Nathan felt something swell inside him, a glimmer of hope mixed with determination. "I can arrange a meeting with the others, the more the merrier, right?" Sarah nodded, realizing that perhaps the doubts that had haunted her might fade into the background if they worked together. "I'd like that. Maybe if more people see the good in it, Mrs. Patterson will come around." But as they began plotting the next steps, a new flutter of worry took hold of Sarah. Could they really bring everyone together? And if they did, could Nathan's intention survive the scrutiny of those who had their doubts? That night, as twilight dipped into darkness, Sarah lay in bed with thoughts swirling like a restless wind. What if her hopes were just illusions, teetering on the edge of disappointment? If the festival failed, would it only deepen the divide in their town? And then, in the stillness, a realization struck her. This was more than just a festival. It was an opportunity to confront their pasts, her own fears, and perhaps, the community's deeply rooted beliefs. Feeling a spark of resolve, she finally drifted to sleep, the loud chorus of her daughter's dreams echoing in her mind. But what awaited them in the days to come? Would the festival bring Willow Creek together or tear it apart? The next morning, dawn arrived with its own set of challenges, one that would test not just Sarah's resolve but also Nathan's ability to shine amidst the shadows of doubt. How far were they willing to go for their vision, and what secrets might unravel as their plans unfolded? The sun peeked over the horizon, washing Willow Creek in a golden hue that felt almost ethereal. Sarah rubbed her eyes awake, a mix of anticipation and anxiety fluttering in her stomach. Today was important. Today, they put their plan into action. After breakfast, the house was alive with the girls' laughter and chatter. Sarah found herself smiling as they began to decorate a large poster board with colorful markers. "Festival meeting today." One of them scribbled with wide strokes, the letters uneven but full of youthful energy. "Okay, girls. Remember, we want everyone to feel excited about this," Sarah encouraged, trying to weave her own hope into their enthusiasm. "I want to make invitations, Mom." Emma squealed, her eyes bright. She seemed to burst with creativity, her tiny hands moving quickly as she envisioned twinkling lights and smiling faces. "That's a wonderful idea. Let us make a list of people we want to invite," Sarah replied, her earlier worries momentarily swept away by her daughter's innocent excitement. Once the poster was ready, they headed out to the neighbors' houses, each footstep resonating with the beat of hopeful hearts. As they gathered signatures and opinion from neighbors, Sarah felt the hesitant warmth of community begin to unfurl. For every skeptical look, there were smiles too. "Maybe we can offer hot dogs at the festival," Mia suggested, her eyes shining with ideas. Nathan had arranged to meet them at the community center later that day to discuss logistics. But amidst the budding optimism, Sarah's mind couldn't shake the anxiety of Mrs. Patterson's words. Would the support last? What if some neighbors would still refuse to be involved? They reached Mrs. Thompson's house first. The kind elderly lady welcomed them with open arms. "A festival? Oh my goodness! That will bring the entire town together." Her giddiness was contagious. Just as Sarah turned to ask about another neighbor, the unmistakable sound of a sharp engine roared down the street. A sleek black car pulled up, its tinted windows sinking down to reveal a well-dressed man who oozed confidence. Mr. Hastings, someone whispered among the gathering small crowd. He was a local businessman, known for his philanthropy yet haunted by rumors of arrogance. "What's happening here?" he inquired, eyeing the poster. His voice smooth, but there was a hint of sarcasm. Sarah's heart raced. "We're planning a community festival to help bring everyone together and support families in need," she stated, trying to embody confidence, though uncertainty crept into her voice. "A festival?" Mr. Hastings echoed, raising an eyebrow. "And you think a few games and hot dogs will fix all the town's problems?" His dismissal punched through the bright atmosphere. Sarah glanced at her daughters, who had started to shrink into themselves, their excitement dampened. "Not everyone sees it that way," Nathan replied, stepping forward. "But sometimes, even the smallest spark can ignite something much bigger." Mr. Hastings glanced at Nathan, assessing, as if sizing a challenge. "Interesting. Maybe I'll join, just to see what all this fuss is about, but I have my doubts." As he walked away, a wave of tension lingered. The excitement that had buoyed them felt fragile now. Could they actually carry this through? What if he's right? Sarah whispered to Nathan when the girls were distracted. Her voice was thick with concern. "What if we can't do it?" Nathan's grip on her shoulder was firm, reassuring. "We're not just trying to fix things with a festival. It's about connection. We'll show them. They'll see it through our actions." But in the back of her mind, Sarah worry gnawed at her. What if their actions weren't enough to unite everyone? As the sun sank low in the sky, Sarah stood at the community center with Nathan, her heart pounding. A decisive moment awaited them. Would the townsfolk come together as she hoped? The door creaked open, revealing the first few neighbors stepping inside. Sarah inhaled deeply, battling doubt and desiring connection. The stakes grew higher with each heartbeat. How many would show up? And would they share in the vision, or would the community feel more fractured than ever? The community center buzzed quietly as more neighbors trickled in. Sarah glanced around, taking in the mix of familiar and new faces. Her heart raced. Would this gathering be filled with hope or muted skepticism? Nathan stood by her side, nodding to people as they arrived. "See? They are coming," he whispered, squeezing her hand. But Sarah felt the weight of every uncertain glance like a stone in her chest. Mrs. Thompson shuffled to the front of the room, her silver hair shimmering under the fluorescent lights. "Welcome, everyone. We're here to discuss making the festival a reality." Her voice rang with warmth, but some of the crowd looked unsteady, arms crossed and brows furrowed. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward, the air thick with anticipation. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice steadying. "This festival is not just about games or food. It's about building our community, connecting, and helping those in need." A murmur swept through the crowd. Mr. Hastings leaned back against the wall, arms folded, observing with an interest that felt laden with judgment. Sarah's eyes flickered to him, searching for any indication of support. "Why now?" A voice cut through the murmur. It was Mrs. Patterson, her tone sharp. "What makes you all think a festival can change anything? People are struggling. Will this actually help?" Sarah's heart sank. It was that familiar doubt creeping back in, wrapping around her throat like a vice. She scanned the room, looking for Nathan's reassuring glance. He caught her eye and nodded, encouraging her to carry on. "It's true that we can't fix everything," she conceded, her voice dropping slightly. "But we can start somewhere. Bringing people together can foster hope, spark conversation, and strengthen relationships. Isn't that worth a try?" A woman in the back spoke up, her arms still crossed but her expression softening. "But what about the costs? It's risky, and we might not have the funds." "Every great journey starts with small steps," Nathan chimed in, stepping forward. "We could organize fundraisers, gather donations, and even volunteer our time." I know we can make a difference if we work together." A few heads nodded, and Sarah felt a flicker of hope stir within her. "Together," she echoed, trying to keep the momentum going. "We can show each other what we can do when we combine our resources and our hearts. This won't just be a festival. It'll be a message to our children about community, kindness, and resilience." As hearts began to open, the chatter grew lively, and ideas started flowing: bake sales, a talent show, local businesses offering sponsorships, but Mr. Hastings stood still cast like a shadow against the enthusiasm around him. "And what if it doesn't work?" he challenged, his gaze leering like a hawk. "What if this fails and leaves our community even more fragmented? We won't know unless we try." Sarah shot back, her voice rising with fervor. "And we can't let fear dictate our choices. Every connection we make today can lead to something beautiful tomorrow. Whether we succeed or fail, we'll learn together." A vibrant energy began to fill the room, laughter slowly replacing hesitation. More hands shot up, voices chiming in with suggestions and support. Sarah felt the weight lift slightly, hope blossoming in the air around her, but just as momentum peaked, Mr. Hastings pushed off the wall, a smirk playing on his lips. "All right, I'm intrigued. Go on. Let us see how serious you really are." His challenge hung like a cloud. Could they truly show their commitment? Would the light of community shine bright enough to illuminate the doubts clinging in the shadows? As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah couldn't shake that nagging thought in the back of her mind. They had set out to light a spark, but would it be enough to ignite a blaze of genuine connection? The evening passed with promise, but questions lingered. Would their efforts help them unite or only reveal the fractures within? Tomorrow would bring another chance for answers: a meeting to coordinate with local businesses. Would they rally behind the festival, or would Mr. Hastings' skepticism prove true? The next morning, Sarah awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. The sun peeked through her window, casting a warm glow across her room. She stretched and took a moment to breathe deeply, hoping to fill her lungs with the fresh air of possibility. Today was crucial. Today they would meet with local businesses. After a quick coffee and a few bites of toast, she took one last look in the mirror, smoothing down her hair and adjusting her collar. "You've got this," she whispered to her reflection, trying to banish the lingering doubts from last night. She found Nathan in the living room, who was scrolling through a list of potential sponsors on his phone. "Ready?" he asked with an encouraging smile. "As ready as I'll ever be," Sarah replied, her heart racing again. The community center was alive with activity when they arrived. A mix of excitement and apprehension threaded through the air as the tables were set up for the meeting. Local business owners filtered in, their expressions ranging from curious to skeptical. It was a daunting sight, faces filled with concerns about costs, time, and the potential for failure. Mrs. Thompson welcomed everyone, her voice steady. "We're here to brainstorm and get support for the festival. Sarah and Nathan have some great ideas, and we'd love to hear how we can work together." One by one, faces turned toward Sarah. It was her time to shine again. She stood tall, looking from person to person, and began, "Thank you all for being here. This festival is about more than just a fun day, it's about lifting each other up and creating a bond that will last long after the last balloon pops." Her words hung in the air, weaving around the concerns that had tried to settle in. She shared stories of neighbors, struggles they faced, and triumphs they had achieved through connection. The stories lit a spark, and she could see a flicker of hope in the eyes of some. But as expected, the challenges soon followed. "This sounds good, but where's the funding going to come from?" an older gentleman asked, his brow furrowed. "Our businesses are struggling. How can we take on more?" "I understand," Nathan responded, stepping forward. "But we can come together to fundraise and promote our businesses simultaneously. This festival can draw in crowds and support our local shops." Heads turned, and a murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Sarah could see it wasn't enough. She needed to drive the point home, to pull them in with what they really stood to gain. And think about the community spirit we can show giving back to the families of our town, the children who need support, services that are dwindling. As her words flowed, the room started to resonate with emotion. Conversations sparked. Ideas for raffle prizes emerged, food vendors volunteered their services, and even local musicians expressed interest in performing, but just as the excitement reached a peak, her eyes drifted to Mr. Hastings, who by now had entered the room and leaned against the wall, observing silently. She couldn't shake off his skepticism that still loomed like a thundercloud. "What do you think, Mr. Hastings? Do you see any value in this?" He took a deep breath, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to pause. "I see potential," he admitted begrudgingly, arms still crossed. "But it will take real commitment. Are people willing to put in the time? I can't back a losing horse." Sarah felt the heat rise in her cheeks. This was her chance to rally everyone. "If we could guarantee a beautiful, heartfelt festival not just for us, but for all our children and for our resilient community, would you be on board, Mr. Hastings?" His eyes narrowed, and silence settled uncomfortably over the room. The weight of the question hung heavy, making Sarah's heart race. Was this really enough to tip the scales? Would they be able to transform his skepticism into belief? With the room buzzing with anxious whispers, Sarah held her breath. Would their voices harmonize into one inspiring message, or would doubt win out at their moment of truth? The answers lay just beyond reach. The silence stretched on, thick and tangible. Sarah's heartbeat echoed in her ears as Mr. Hastings finally replied, his voice low and contemplative. "A beautiful festival sounds nice, but what about the cold, hard numbers? Where do we even begin?" His skepticism still clung to the room like a damp fog. Nathan glanced at Sarah, a spark of determination igniting in his eyes. "We start small. A local fundraiser, maybe. If we can show the community's participation is all well and good, but it won't pay for tents and tables," Mr. Hastings countered, arms folded tighter. "You're asking us to invest in a dream." The atmosphere felt heavy, filled with doubt. Sarah feared the weight of that doubt could drag her down again. But deep down, she knew their dream was worth fighting for. "What if we turn this around?" she suggested, taking a step closer to the crowd. "What if we make this festival an event to showcase all of your businesses? Imagine the foot traffic. Each vendor could highlight something unique from their shop." A younger woman in the back spoke up, her voice shaking. "I've always wanted to reach more people, but I don't have the marketing budget." "Exactly," Sarah responded, her enthusiasm pouring into her words. "This festival could be more than a celebration. It's a platform for all of us. We can band together, share costs, but most importantly share our stories, our strengths." Whispers of agreement began to ripple through the room. As Sarah looked around, she felt something shift, a lightness creeping in. She continued, "Let's form committees. We can break it down. Who's willing to take charge of food? Who wants to offer up games and activities for the kids? We all have something to contribute." A man with a bushy beard raised his hand cautiously. "I own the bakery up the street. If I could donate pastries, would that help?" "Yes," Sarah exclaimed, a smile spreading across her face. "That's amazing. And what if you collaborated with other vendors, like the coffee shop? You two could create a little cafe corner." More hands began to rise, tentative at first, but soon filled the air as enthusiasm grew. A sense of shared purpose washed over the meeting like sunlight breaking through clouds. Sarah caught Mr. Hastings' eye again. She could see his stern demeanor slowly give way to contemplation. "We need to make sure we have a plan," he said finally. "A real plan, on paper." "I can take care of that," Nathan jumped in confidently. "We can set a realistic budget and outline specific roles. We'll show you the figures and get back to you. The mention of a plan seemed to sway the room further. Sarah felt a swell of hope. Yes. Let us meet again and grow this together. We can make it happen. As the meeting wrapped up, a buzz of energy filled the air. Business owners chatted excitedly, ideas bouncing back and forth. Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude and anticipation. They were building momentum, something she'd only dreamed of moments before. Just as they were saying their goodbyes, Sarah noticed Mr. Hastings lingering. She walked up to him, feeling apprehensive yet hopeful. Thank you for your honesty today. It helps keep us grounded. He studied her for a moment and nodded. Just remember to stay practical. Community spirit is great, but it needs to be matched with sensible execution. His words sank in, both a challenge and an encouragement. I will, Sarah promised. Before she could say more, he turned to leave. As she watched him go, a feeling stirred inside her, something unshakable. She wasn't just fighting for a festival, she was igniting a fire within her community that wouldn't just flicker but blaze. As she and Nathan gathered their materials, a thought struck her. What if there was something even more vital at play? Something that could change perceptions and hearts entirely? This journey was just beginning. What would they find as they delved deeper into the heart and soul of their town? The following week, excitement buzzed in the air as Sarah, Nathan, and the rest of the committee gathered at the community center. The vibe was electric, but so was the pressure. They had promised Mr. Hastings a comprehensive plan, and with expectations high, failure wasn't an option. As they settled into chairs, Sarah glanced around the room. Familiar faces lit with determination and hope watched her. Each one carried a dream of connection, of community, of recognition. But within that anticipation, uncertainty lurked just beneath the surface. I think we should start by outlining our goals for the festival, Nathan suggested, his voice steady. What do we really want to achieve here? A woman named Lisa, who owned a floral shop, jumped in. Visibility. Yes. We need to showcase what we bring to the table, Sarah agreed, her heart racing. The thought of everyone's hard work coming together fueled her resolve. And let us also focus on making it a celebration, something that ties us all together. More voices joined in. They fleshed out ideas: live music, games for kids, maybe a taste of the town section where local restaurants could compete for the best dish. Laughter and creativity filled the room, building a momentum that felt unstoppable. All right, Sarah finally said, a broad smile brightening her face. Let us break into groups and tackle logistics. Food, entertainment, marketing. Let us assign roles and take ownership. The groups formed quickly. Each was buzzing with energy and fervor. Sarah felt her concerns ebb away as she saw the enthusiasm grow. Neighboring small businesses were leaning into each other, sharing resources and ideas. It was like watching a mural come to life. As they worked, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was about more than just a festival. Each proprietor shared stories that inspired laughter and shed light on struggles. They weren't just planning, they were connecting. In the midst of it all, the door swung open, and in walked Mr. Hastings. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. She hadn't expected him to return so soon. Would he be pleased with their progress, or would he still carry that doubt? Good to see everyone working hard, he said, his stern expression softening at the sight of vibrant energy in the room. Thank you for coming, Mr. Hastings. Nathan greeted him, motioning for him to join them. As they shared their plans, Sarah didn't miss the way Mr. Hastings listened intently, nodding as they spoke. Encouragement from him felt crucial, like a badge of credibility for their little festival, but then, in a moment of stillness, he leaned in closer. You know, I believe in community, but I need to see real numbers, he said, folding his arms once again. Just know that the city has its eyes on this event. If it fails, it could set us back. His words hung heavy in the air. The enthusiasm dimmed for just a heartbeat, and Sarah felt doubt creeping back in. But she wouldn't let it take root. Not after all the hope they had nurtured together. What if we framed it differently? She said, her voice cutting through the tension. This isn't just a festival. It's an opportunity to revitalize our community. We can prove how vital we are, together. And that's worth investing in. A silence followed her declaration, eyes searching each other's confidence, hesitant yet hopeful. Maybe this wasn't just about numbers. Maybe, just maybe, this could be something that healed their community. As the conversation started again, this time with a renewed fervor, Sarah's mind raced. What were the real implications of their dreams? Would they all realize their potential, or would this work unravel under the weight of reality? As they continued their planning, a tension simmered beneath their fervor. The stakes were higher than she had thought. And with each passing day leading to the festival, she knew one question still loomed: could they conquer not just their fears, but the expectations that were being placed on them? Their journey had begun, but the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. What awaited them as the festival drew near? And could they turn this moment into their town's triumph? The days rolled into a week, and Sarah felt the weight of every single hour pressing down on her. With the festival just days away, their committee meetings became frantic and filled with a blend of enthusiasm and anxiety. Ideas that had once tangled into laughter and collaboration now hummed with a sense of urgency. The buzz of excitement began to tangle with worries about the numbers that hung over them like storm clouds. In the small kitchen of the community center, Sarah stood alongside Nathan and Lisa, checking lists. Sheets of paper covered in scribbles surrounded them, each one filled with details that began to blur in her mind. Catering orders. Permits. Promoting the event. Every item felt monumental, and the stakes loomed larger than ever. Are we going to have enough chairs? Lisa asked, her voice tight with concern. Of course we will, Nathan reassured her, though Sarah sensed his irritation bubbling beneath the surface. We'll handle it. But Sarah couldn't shake off the worries that danced at the edges of her thoughts. What if they didn't have enough chairs for everyone? Or even worse, what if no one came? She forced a smile. Let's take a break, she announced, trying to lighten the mood. The group responded with only half-hearted chuckles and nods. As they stepped outside into the golden afternoon light, Sarah inhaled deeply. The air was fresh, tinged with the smell of blooming flowers from Lisa's shop nearby. For a moment, it felt like she could shake off the pressure. Sarah, Nathan said, his voice suddenly serious. I know we're trying to bring everyone together, but what if it all falls apart? The bluntness of his admission sent a shiver through her. We won't let that happen, she replied, though doubt began to creep into her own heart. We just have to believe in each other. Remember why we started? Before Nathan could reply, a cheerful shout broke through the air, an invitation to lighten their mood. A group of children, all around 10 years old, raced past them. Laughter bubbled through the air like music. They were carrying signs, bright and colorful, with their own dreams for the festival. One big poster read, "We love our town." Seeing them reminded Sarah of the very reason they were bringing this festival to life. Each child with their innocent excitement became a soft reminder of hope. We need to make this happen for them, she said, gripping Nathan's shoulder. We need to make them proud. Inside, she felt her purpose reignite. The sheer joy radiating from the kid sent waves of warmth through her. It reinvigorated the hope she thought she had lost. Nathan nodded, an expression of renewed determination washing over his features. As they returned to the planning table, fueled by that spark of hope, Sarah could feel the momentum building again. Each idea that passed through their discussions filled her heart with expectation. They were fueled not just by goals but by something much deeper, a communal need to shine. With only days remaining, tension stretched with each countdown hour. But she saw it in the eyes of the committee, the determination. The laughter. The sense of belonging. Still, beneath the surface, another question lingered: Would their combined strength be enough to eliminate the skepticism sowed by Mr. Hastings' warning? Would the real impact of their festival banish the whispers of doubt? As the clock ticked onward and the festival lurked ever closer, Sarah felt the pulse of the community beat louder. But on the horizon, unanticipated challenges awaited. In her heart, she knew the hard truths of reality could change everything. Turning to her friends, she said, "Let us make this festival not just an event but a milestone. A moment we can all look back on." Their nods were filled with intensity, but behind that resolve lay the cold reality that they were teetering on the edge of possibility. As Sarah glanced one final time at the kids making art across the lawn, she wondered, what hidden challenges awaited them just around the corner? And could they truly stand firm against the weight of expectations after stepping into the uncertainty together? The day of the festival dawned bright and clear, the sun illuminating Willow Creek like a warm embrace. Excitement hung in the air thick as cotton candy, but beneath that sweetness, Sarah felt the weight of her doubts. She stood with Nathan and the festival committee, surrounded by colorful tents and bright decorations that danced in the gentle breeze. The moment they had worked so hard for was finally here, but would it all come crashing down? As townsfolk began to trickle in, the sounds of laughter mixed with the enchanting melodies of local musicians swirled around the lively square. Sarah watched as families gathered, children darting from one booth to another with sparkling eyes filled with wonder and joy. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs with hope. Suddenly, she spotted Mrs. Patterson approaching the pie booth, hesitation etched across her features. Sarah felt her heart race. Would this be another moment of judgment, or could it be a step towards understanding? "Good to see you here, Mrs. Patterson," Sarah greeted, her voice steady. Mrs. Patterson's lips formed a thin line. "I came to see if this is actually going to amount to anything," she said bluntly, but Sarah saw a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. A group of children raced past, giggling and pulling their parents towards the games. Sarah felt a spark ignite within her. "Look at the joy around us," she said, half to encourage herself. "We've created something beautiful and full of promise." Mrs. Patterson's expression softened just a little. "I suppose." Before she could finish, Emma, Mia, and Zoe ran up, almost bursting with energy, their faces painted like superheroes. "Mom! We're having the best time. Everyone is so happy." Their innocence worked like magic. Mrs. Patterson cracked the faintest smile, and for the first time, Sarah felt a glimmer of acceptance. Just then, Nathan appeared, his face flushed with excitement. "The local bakery is sold out of pastries, and we're already planning a second run. Can you believe it?" Sarah had a moment to bask in the feedback. This was it. They were over the hurdles they had worried about. As the day rolled on, booths filled with laughter and community flourished around them. Competitive cooking challenges brought out smiles, while local musicians plucked their strings, filling the air with joy. Sarah stood back for a moment, watching the energy rise and fall like waves across the square. It was thriving, but then a shadow crossed her thoughts. What if Mr. Hastings burst in with criticism? Just as if on cue, he appeared, arms crossed, wearing that signature skeptical look. Impressive facade, but will the numbers reflect it? He asked, skepticism dripping from his words. Sarah inhaled deeply, feeling the pressure mount. "We're not just selling products, Mr. Hastings. This is about connection and showing how strong we are together. If our community stands united today, that's a victory worth celebrating." Nathan stepped in, his confidence bubbling over. "We've proven that when we come together, we create something more significant than just a festival. We create bonds, trust, and resilience." For a moment, a hint of surprise crossed Mr. Hastings' face. Perhaps within him, a little spark flickered to life. But before the moment could fully develop, he simply nodded, turning back to survey the event. As twilight washed over the horizon, and the last rays of sunlight began to fade, the festival ended with a bang, a dazzling display of fireworks. Sarah's heart soared as she held her daughters close, surrounded by the vibrant community they had rallied to create. Tears welled in her eyes, a blend of pride and relief crashing over her like a tidal wave. She felt the warmth of their triumph surging through her whole being. The festival had been a resounding success, and for the first time in a long while, the town felt whole again. In the glow of the aftermath, Sarah turned to Nathan, who stood awed by the spectacle before him. "Can you believe it?" she breathed, her voice cracking. "We did this. Together." Nathan looked at her, a realization resonating in his expression. "It's just the beginning, Sarah. We've built a foundation. Imagine what else we can accomplish." A sense of determination swelled in Sarah. They could tackle anything the future threw at them, but for now, they had shown that hope, love, and community spirit were more potent than anything obstructing their path, and as they stood together, watching their dreams light up the night, Sarah learned that real wealth lies not in money but in connection, kindness, and the courage to hold on to hope. The next day would dawn with new challenges, but Sarah was ready. She felt empowered not just for herself, but for her daughters and the community that had come alive. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Heartbeats harmonized, releasing a melody of joy into the world. Let tomorrow come, they were ready. But as the night deepened, one thought echoed through her mind: this transformation was just the start. They would rise together, one bright spark at a time. Don't just stand by, be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss our next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and share your reactions in the comments. You must share this video with at least 5 friends who need inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second. Let's continue this incredible journey together.